Alrighty, and we are live. Welcome everybody. Hope everyone's day is going well. Get things set up and we'll be ready to go. Sorry, almost set. All right. Almost ready to go. All right. Here we go. Two beds. All right. Let's begin. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of Benny in the Booth podcast. On this week's episode, we've got NFL Week 13 to recap with Week 14 predictions. We've got College Football Conference Championship games recap with a look into the final rankings plus available games. And we've got big MLB news that's dropped between the last episode. Let's get right into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 57 of Benny in the Booth podcast. Thank you so much for the support to this point. I very much do appreciate it. We've got a big episode today because, well, baseball basically has popped off with news. Off-season Hall of Fame as winter meetings has just begun this week. They're actually going to be having some WBC pre-press conferences or something during winter meetings. Whole bunch, but winter meetings is where a lot of things go down. Not everything, but a lot of things will start happening now with it being winter meetings. So let's actually jump right into MLB news first, because boy, since last episode, did we get some big baseball news? Very much so. And where does it start? Well, it's simply. Hold on a second. It starts off with Chris Martin signing with the Red Sox 2-year, $17.5 million contract, pending a physical. Interesting contract. Held up better second half with LA after getting traded from the Cubs. See how he does in Boston. Milwaukee's basically torn everything apart as they traded Colton Wong to Seattle Mariners for Abraham Toro and Jesse Winker, a very good second place replacement for the Mariners when after Ty France struggled. And Milwaukee's getting a good outfielder, infielder, but they're in rebuild mode at this point. They're tearing down. Jacob deGrom will not be returning back to the New York Mets. He is going to Texas on a 5-year deal worth $185 million with a 6th year. That's like over $200 million. Crazy he's not going to be on the Mets. But as I was talking to some Mets fans, I said, here's a bright way. If you want a bright side to this, here's a bright side. Is you're not going to have to deal with him within the division. And I said that because there were rumors DeGrom might go to Atlanta. And the fact that he didn't is huge. Or didn't go within the National League. That would have hurt even more, especially if it would have been like LA or San Diego. And I think that's a huge gift for the Mets. That's American League. And he's going to a very good team right now. Texas is really starting to build something. I don't think they're going to be able to contend with Houston as of right now for division, but they're going to be up there this year. And that's a huge way to keep themselves up there. But don't worry, because the Mets fans came right back 2 days later and were like, we found our piece to replace that hole with AL Cy Young Award winner Justin Verlander agreeing on a 2-year, $86 million contract. I believe there is a 3rd-year option. This is a great deal. It's not fully going to replace that hole, but it definitely fits a hole. They need a right-hander, and they got a great right-hander And he's actually getting paired up with former Tiger teammate Max Scherzer, which that could be really good. 1-2 punch of them two again. Look out, baseball. Kershaw re-signed with the Dodgers 1 year, $20 million deal. Honestly, I feel like he's got everything. I don't know if he should still be in baseball, but then again, he had a pretty good year, but he's been up and down, and especially in the playoffs. Carlos Estevez signing with the Angels on a 2 year, $13.5 million contract. And then the other big news from yesterday, Trey Turner going to the Phillies on an 11-year deal with $300 million. And this is huge for Philly because not just do you fill a hole of bat-wise between second and shortstop, but you got someone who pretty much is top pretty good defender that plays practically anywhere. So it doesn't just fill a hole for shortstop. He can play second, he can play short, he can play center, he can play a lot of positions, and that helps with the defensive problem they had last year. Huge addition for Philly, and that's a game changing. And then there were some I even noticed until like now. Moves today. Yankees bringing back Tommy Kahnle on a 2 year, $11.5 million contract, and Vince Velasquez agreeing to a 1 year deal with Pittsburgh Pirates. Other than that, no, that's all as in for off-season moves in baseball. But the secondary ballot for the Hall of Fame did come out with the results, and there's double good news, even triple good news technically, but I'd say more double good news. First good news, no cheaters made it. So no Bonds, no Sosa, McGuire, so on and so forth, or controversial people. So Clem Schilling did not either. The other good news is that someone did make it, and it was Fred McGriff, who actually was unanimously voted into the Hall of Fame. Definitely worthy. Played for a bunch of teams, including the Cubs, Padres, Braves, Blue Jays. One was part of the 95 Braves. Very good, very much worthy. Don Mattingly was on there and probably should have made it as well. But as he's nicknamed Crime Dog, he definitely is worthy. Congrats to him. Well deserved. And that's the wrap on baseball news. So let's get to college football. Because conference championship games, boy, some of it was interesting. Some of it was nothing really much to talk about. So going in the top four once again was Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC. And if USC were to lose, that would open a hole for Ohio State. TCU were to lose as well, that maybe opens up a hole for Alabama, but that'd be making history. Well, USC jumped out 17-3 over Utah, which you'd think, okay, just ride out, they should be able to hold on. Well, their starter got banged up, played the rest of the game banged up, and Utah came all the way back from down 17-3 to absolutely dominate USC 47-24 to win the Pac-12 championship and knocking USC out of college football playoff contention. Who made it instead? We'll get to that in a moment. So that was for the Pac-12. In the Big 12 championship game, after holding TCU on fourth down, number 10 Kansas State kicker Ty Zentner kicked a 31-yard game-winning field goal to beat TCU 31-28 in overtime to win the Big 12 championship game. That was a crazy game, both in TCU, Kansas State. TCU gave a good fight, but in the end, Kansas State won to win the Big 12. Number one, Georgia absolutely dominated LSU from the beginning, 50-30 to win the SEC. And to even put an icing on the cake of the domination, Georgia started the game on a blocked kick taken for a touchdown. And that set the tone of domination in the SEC championship game. Behind dominant second half, number 2, Michigan beat Purdue 43-23 to win the Big Ten championship game, making it another year straight that the East representative in the Big Ten championship game beats the West. West has yet to win the Big Ten championship game ever. losing to Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State, and I believe those are the ones. And then number 9, Clemson beat number 23, North Carolina, 39-10 to win the ACC championship game. So my predictions actually went well. I went 3 for 2. The 2 I got wrong were USC and TCU. 3 I got right was Michigan, Clemson, and Georgia. So the final CFP rankings. Number 1, as expected, Georgia. Number 2, as expected, Michigan. Number 3, even with their loss, well, simply because they were one of the only remaining one-loss teams in the entire top 25 rankings, is TCU. So it's going to be Michigan versus TCU in one of the bowl games. And number 4, the team actually in the playoffs facing Georgia is going to be Ohio State. So it's going to be Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. That is the top 4. Ohio State being moved up 1. The rest of the 3 exactly where they were the previous week. Rankings beyond the top 4. Alabama number 5 moving up from 6. Tennessee number 6 moving up from 7. Clemson moving up from 9 to 7. Utah at number 8 moving up from 11. Kansas State moving up from 10 to 9. USC moving down from 4 to 10. Penn State moving down 3 from 8 to 11. Washington staying ranked at 12. Florida State staying ranked at 13. Oregon State staying ranked at 14, or moving up from 15 to 14. Oregon moving up from 14 to 15, from 16 to 15. Tulane moving up 2 from 18 to 16. LSU moving down from 14 to 17. UCLA moving down from 17 to 18. South Carolina 19 once again. Texas once again at 20. Notre Dame once again at 21. Mississippi State moving up 2 from 24 to 22. NC State moving up 2 from 25 to 23. Troy newly ranked after their conference championship win over Coastal Carolina at number 24. And University of Texas San Antonio moving up, newly ranked at 25 after their win against North Texas. Dropping out of the rankings, UCF, who was ranked 22 last week, and North Carolina, who was ranked 23 the previous week. That is the final rankings. And for what bowl game is what college football playoff team? So it is the Peach Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl. The Fiesta Bowl is going to be Michigan and TCU. That game will be at the Arizona Cardinals Stadium on New Year's Eve, which is on a Saturday this year. And then the Peach Bowl will be Ohio State, Georgia at the Atlanta Falcons Stadium. That's going to be a night game at 8. Both semis games are going to be on ESPN. The Fiesta will be at 4. The Peach will be at 8. And funny enough, it's kind of a bit of a home field advantage for Georgia because they're literally playing within their own state. But we'll see if that actually factors or not. And then the national championship game is going to be on the 9th at the Rams and Chargers Stadium, a.k.a. SoFi, 7:30 on ESPN. I'm going to be making predictions once again for the New Year's 6 bowl games and college football playoffs and national championship game. But I'm going to be waiting until we get closer to New Year's Eve just because we've got a while till these bowl games start. And we still got Army-Navy this coming Saturday. Anyways, before that, I'm not making a prediction for Army-Navy. That game is way too unpredictable. Way too unpredictable. I don't even know. Funny. Oh, let's see. It could be like one team's good and one team's bad, and then the team that's good ends up losing still. Let's see. What are the... Let's see. Well, Navy's favored by 1. And over under is 32.5. Let's see, what are their records? Navy's 4-7, Army's 5-6. But again, though, it's just way too unpredictable. It's gonna be in Philly. But yeah, I'm not even gonna try to predict that game. That game is way too unpredictable. It's gonna be on Chav, sadly, though, for Jews, or mostly. But we'll see what happens with that game. I will cover it as best as I can next week's episode. So for the bowl games, the rest of them, I'm just going to go through every ranked team's matchup outside of the college football playoff teams. I could have just gone through all of them, but I was like, why should I do that? Not worth it. And I'm just going to go over the ranked team ones because those are at least somewhat more important than the others. So the Cure Bowl is actually going to feature two ranked teams. It's going to be on December 16th between University of Texas San Antonio, or UTSA, versus number 24 Troy, CUSA versus Sunbelt at Exploria Stadium in Orlando, Florida. Game will be at 3 p.m. on ESPN. Las Vegas Bowl on the very next day between number 14 Oregon State of the Pac-12 and Florida, the SEC, will be at the Raiders Stadium, 7:30 on ABC. Holiday Bowl on the 28th will feature North Carolina from the ACC versus number 15 Oregon from the Pac-12 at the Padres Stadium, 8 p.m. on Fox. The Cheez-It Bowl on the very next day, December 29th, will feature number 13 Florida State from the ACC and Oklahoma from the Big 12 at the former NFL Pro Bowl site in Orlando, Florida, 5:30 p.m. on ESPN. The Alamo Bowl on the same day, December 29th, will feature number 20 Texas against number 12 Washington, Big 12 versus Pac-12 at the San Antonio Spurs Old Stadium, the Alamo Dome. That game will be at 9 p.m. on ESPN. The Duke's Mayo Bowl on December 30th, featuring number 23 NC State, North Carolina State of the ACC versus Maryland of the Big Ten at the Panthers Stadium, 12 p.m. on ESPN. Sun Bowl on the 30th between Pitt of the ACC versus number 18 UCLA of the Pac-12 at the Sun Bowl Stadium in El Paso, Texas, 2 p.m. on CBS. Gator Bowl that same day on the 30th, between number 21 Notre Dame, who's independent, versus number 19 South Carolina of the SEC. That's going to be at the Jaguar Stadium, 3:30 on ESPN. The Orange Bowl on the 30th, featuring number 7 Clemson versus number 6 Tennessee, ACC versus SEC at the Miami Dolphins Stadium, 8 p.m. on ESPN. Then the next day, on the 31st, New Year's Eve, New Year's Six Bowl game of the Sugar Bowl between number 9 Kansas State of the Big 12 versus number 9 versus number 5 Alabama of the SEC at the Saints Stadium, 12 p.m. on ESPN. Then on January 2nd will be the ReliaQuest Bowl between Illinois, the Big Ten, versus number 22 Mississippi State of the SEC at the Buccaneers Stadium, 12 p.m. on ESPN2. Followed by the Citrus Bowl the same day between Purdue of the Big Ten versus number 17 LSU of the SEC at the old NFL Pro Bowl Stadium in Orlando, 1 p.m. on ABC. Followed by the Cotton Bowl that same day between number 16 Tulane of the AAC versus number 10 USC of the Pac-12 at the Cowboys Stadium, 1 p.m. on ESPN. And the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, featuring number 11 Penn State of the Big Ten, and once again from the Pac-12, number 8 Utah at the Rose Bowl Stadium, its own 5 p.m. on ESPN. That is all the bowl games. That is the college football part of this episode recap. We'll have Army Navy next week. After that, won't have anything really until college football playoff games itself, which are going to be New Year's Eve. But once we get closer to New Year's Eve, I'll make predictions for the college football playoff ones and the New Year's Six bowl games, and we'll see from there. Otherwise, though, it's going to be NFL and MLB for a little more of from here on out for a little bit. So now to NFL Week 13, and what a week this is. There were some injuries. There was some craziness, some wackiness. Let's get right into it. So not even on a specific game, but literally for the 1 o'clock games on Sunday, all started with turnovers on opening drives. Texans had a weird interception where the guy caught it, but he didn't firmly control it, but it didn't hit the ground, and it popped up, and the Browns defender had it, and then they ruled it. I think originally it was ruled incomplete, but then changed to a pick. Weird. Browns didn't even get points out of it, funny enough. Daniel Jones fumbled for the Giants, led to Commanders' touchdown. Mike White interception against the Vikings, and the Jaguars fumbled against the Lions. Because now I'm actually getting to actual games. All the Browns points off non-offense. Punt return touchdown by Donovan Peoples-Jones, fumble recovery for a touchdown by Denzel Ward, and a pick six by Tony Fields the third, and a 27-14 win over the Texans where Deshaun Watson basically did nada. Like, he was non-existent on Sunday practically. And I have a grade, and I'm going to see my grade for this, and not having biasy, I'm not going to. If I had biasy, I would have given it A+, but that's delusional. I'm not delusional. I'm giving a proper grade. And I'm just going to explain this. I'm factoring rust, but I'm also factoring a lot of what happened. My grade's a C+, because, yes, he had rust, and you can tell there was rust. But there was some bad throws. Like, there was one or two, if not more, that were way too low for receivers. He had a boneheaded interception in the red zone early, which thankfully didn't come back to hurt the Browns too much. And just not the greatest of games. Let's just put it that way. But the Browns still came out with the win. Packers came back from down 16-3 to beat the Bears 28-19, showing Rodgers still owns the Bears. Cameron Bynum interception off Mike White seals Vikings win over the Jets 27-22 as Vikings avoided blowing a 20-3 and 27-15 leads to the Jets. Congrats to them to avoiding beating the Browns blowing big lead to the Jets this year. 1 second. The Giants and Commanders tied in a crazy back-and-forth game, 20-20. Commanders tied it right going into overtime. The Giants had a chance to win it, but the kick was short. Tyler Huntley taking over for Lamar Jackson, who got hurt and has a sprained PCL, possibly be out 1 to 3 weeks. No official timeline of how long out. But Tyler Huntley came in, had a decent game, but did get the go-ahead touchdown, and with the extra point, gave the Ravens a 10-9 win over the Broncos. It was a dead game, dead game. And Ravens are even lucky to win that game. They barely survived to win 10-9. The Bengals beat the Chiefs for the third straight time, which is the first on back-to-back of Joe Burrow touchdown to Joe Burrow to Chris Evans, 8-yard go-ahead touchdown, 27-24, coming off a, funny enough, very rare Travis Kelce fumble. Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt and is out for the rest of the year. Yet the Niners were still able to hammer. And Trent Sherfield, wide receiver for the Dolphins, took first play Miami offensive play to the end zone for a touchdown following the kickoff, 75 yards. Yet the 49ers were still able to beat the Dolphins 33-17 as Tua got destroyed in that game. Dallas destroys Indy, where it was 33 unanswered points in the second half, 54-19. And then Tampa Bay last night came back from down 16-3 to beat the Saints 17-16. That is this week's recap. This week of predictions, I went 10-4-1, factoring the tie as the extra one. My total predictions record this year is 120, 73, and 2. Standings update for the AFC East. Bills in first place at 9-3, followed by the 8-4 Dolphins, followed by the 7-5 Jets, followed by the 6-6 Patriots. AFC North, Ravens and Bengals both in first place, tie at 8-4, followed by the Browns and Steelers in a third place tie, both at 5-7. AFC South, Titans in first place at 7-5, followed by the 4-1 Colts, followed by the 4-8 Jaguars, followed by the officially eliminated 1-10-1 Texans. In the AFC West, the Chiefs are in first place at 9-3, followed by the 6-6 Chargers, followed by the 5-7 Raiders, followed by the 3-9 Broncos. That is for the AFC. For the NFC and the NFC East, Eagles in first place at 11-1, followed by the 9-3 Cowboys, followed by the 7-4-1 and 7-4-1 Giants, followed by the 7-5-1 Commanders. In the NFC North, Vikings in first place at 7-2, followed by the 5-7 Lions, followed by the 5-8 Packers, followed by the 3-10 who are officially eliminated Bears. In the NFC South, the Buccaneers, in first place at 6-6, followed by the 5-8 Falcons, followed by the 4-8 Panthers, followed by the 4-9 Saints. And then the NFC West, Niners in first place at 8-4, followed by the 7-5 Seahawks, followed by the 4-8 Cardinals, followed by the 3-9 Rams. That is the standings update. Now also I'm going to be starting to go into conference standings update, because now that's going to start more mattering as we get down the stretch between now and for clinching playoff spots, clinching divisions, where you're going to look like in standings wise as they head to the playoffs. For the AFC, the Bills and Chiefs are tied for first place, with the Bills being in first place thanks to that Chiefs loss to the Bengals, both at 9-3, followed by a three-way tie for third place at 8-4 between the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Dolphins, followed by a two-way tie for sixth place between the Titans and Jets, both at 7-5. Those are, if the playoffs were today, those would be playoff teams. Outside of that, playoff teams, I'm also not going to be including teams that are officially eliminated. So Texans and Bears are not included in either of these. Followed by a two-way tie for eighth place at 6-6 between the Patriots and the Chargers. Followed by a two-way tie for 10th place between the Raiders and the Browns, both at 5-7. Oh, and the Steelers are included in that too. Followed by the Colts in 13th place at 4-1, followed by the 4-8 Jaguars in 14th, followed by the 3-9 Broncos in 15th. As for the AFC, for the NFC, the Eagles in first place at 11-1, followed by the 10-2 Vikings, followed by the 9-3 Cowboys, followed by the 8-4 49ers, followed by the 7-4-1 Giants, followed by the 7-5 Seahawks, followed by the 7-5-1 Commanders. Those are the firm playoff teams as of right now. Outside of that, not including eliminated teams, in eighth is the Buccaneers at 6-6, followed by the 5-7 Lions, followed by the 5-8 Falcons, Packers, and Cardinals and Panthers. Falcons, Packers, Cardinals, Panthers, Falcons and Packers are both 5-8, followed by the Cardinals and the Panthers, who are both 4-8, followed by the Saints, who are 4-9, followed by the Rams, who are 3-9. That's the standings update completely. And now to Week 14 predictions. Thursday Night Football. Raiders at Rams. I have the Raiders. Jets at Bills. I have the Bills. Browns at Bengals. I would love to say they could come off that game and get another win, but I'm not so sure. I've got the Bengals. Texans at Cowboys. I have the Cowboys. Vikings at Lions. I have the Vikings. Jaguars at Titans. I have the Titans. Eagles at Giants. I have the Eagles. Ravens at Steelers. I have the Ravens. Even with Lamar being out, well, actually, now that I think about it, I'm tempted to change that pick. Let me see something. Might change that, actually. But other than that, Chiefs at Broncos, I have the Chiefs. Buccaneers at 49ers, I have the Buccaneers. Panthers at Seahawks, I have the Seahawks. Sunday Night Football, Dolphins at Chargers, I have the Dolphins. Monday Night Football, Patriots at Cardinals, I have the Cardinals. Let me see something. Steelers are favored. You know what? Yeah, I actually have Steelers over Ravens. I'm not going to pick the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. Most likely going to be without Lamar Jackson. And that is this week's episode of the podcast. And that was predictions for Week 14. Let's wrap things up. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Betting in the Booth podcast. On next week's episode, we will have Army-Navy game recap. We will have NFL Week 14 recap with Week 15 predictions. We will have MLB news to happen between now and then. And if there's anything else, we'll see as we go along that could pop up between this week's episode and next week's episode. Don't forget, with that being the last rankings of the college football playoffs and being able to say on this episode, not having to do a video, I will not be doing a video later this week. So the next thing will be next episode next week. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you are new on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, follow, and hit the notification button to notify when I go live and or post video. If you are new on audio, follow the podcast, leave a review, hit the notification bell so you're notified when I post on there soon after I go live on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.